Hello and welcome to Echo Africa, a weekly environmental magazine produced in Lagos, Kampala and Berlin. I am Chris Lems in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm being joined by my colleague Sandra.
Hello Chris, and hello to everyone out there. Very glad to have you with us again. I am Sandra Twinobio, coming to you from Kampala here in Uganda. Today we'll be looking at innovative bamboo houses in Nigeria and plenty of other interesting stories. We'll hear how man's best friend is helping farmers in Botswana protect their livestock. We'll also see how South African landowners can get a tax break by protecting the environment, and find out why Ugandan farmers value indigenous seeds. We start the show in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a country often marred in conflict. As a result, for a long time, little attention was paid to the environment, but that is starting to change. We went to Kahuzi-Biega National Park, where people are now devoting time and effort to protecting the nature there. Not only is that good for the tropical forest, but the local people and the wildlife too, which includes gorillas.
This family of gorillas lives in a tropical forest. They don't get nervous when people are nearby.
We are now in Kahuzi-Biega National Park, and right now we're in the presence of Monsieur Bonannée. Monsieur Bonannée and 8 members of his family.
Kahuzi-Biega National Park is a national conservation area in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The growers, or eastern lowland gorillas, have been a major tourist attraction for decades. The main source of income for the park are the admission fees. Foreign visitors pay $400 each. Because of the pandemic, there's no visitors right now, but the rangers still go out on patrol. They want to keep track of several gorillas' troops and usually know where to find them, even though the park is huge. It covers 6,000 square kilometers.
There's a GPS device for each family of gorillas. When we go into the forest to check on them, we also collect data, and if we find chimpanzee tracks, we record that too. If we find evidence of illegal activities, such as traps, we dismantle them and note the coordinates.
The data is being used for scientific research. The number of lowland gorillas here has declined by half over the past 3 decades, to just a few thousand, researchers estimate. The rangers work with primatologist Augustin Basabose. He heads Primate Expertise, a non-profit dedicated to primate research and conservation. He says poachers and their traps are a continuing threat. This gorilla is lucky to be alive.
Here we see the silverback Mugaruka. When he was 4 years old, he was caught in a snare, and unfortunately he lost his right hand. But despite that, here he is, and he's with his family.
The rangers not only patrol the park to collect data, they're also on the lookout for poachers. That's why they're armed.
We have security issues in some parts of the park. There are poachers out there every day, and the rangers try to track them down. People from the surrounding communities also sometimes damage the park. They cut down trees or bamboo.
The park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but this part of eastern DRC is densely populated, and there's no buffer zone between the park and the nearby villages. People live in the immediate vicinity. Some work on tea plantations or in the park, but most are smallholder farmers. Primate Expertise not only seeks to ensure conservation of the gorillas, but also to improve the livelihood of local communities. It has also launched a project to replant areas of forest that have been cleared illegally. Augustin Basabose says working closely with local people is very important. He hopes they will come to care for the environment as much as they respect Mugaruka.
For some time now, Mugaruka has been seen much more often at the edge of the park. What pleases us as scientists and conservationists is that the communities respect Mugaruka. Nobody has been throwing stones at him or threatening him, even though we often see him passing through their fields.
Around 100 villagers are participating in the reforestation project, a project that will help preserve the forest for the good of the gorillas and the local population.
Let us now turn from preserving wildlife and forests to creating good, sustainable housing. Africa's big cities are crowded. Some are overcrowded. In our weekly series, Doing Your Bit, we meet a Nigerian entrepreneur in Kaduna who builds houses from a material found there in abundance.
Nigeria's population is rapidly growing, and with it, the need for affordable housing. Ibrahim Salisu came up with an idea. He constructs houses in Kaduna made entirely of bamboo, which grows naturally in the area.
A house like this lasts longer than a house built with ordinary wood, and bamboo is better when it comes to withstanding floods and erosion. You and your family can live in a house like this for a very long time without having to worry that it might collapse.
Bamboo, which is actually a woody grass, is strong, light, and environmentally friendly. It grows incredibly quickly without having to be replanted after harvest. It's much cheaper than most other construction materials, but it should be treated or leached to eliminate its susceptibility to insect attacks and weather wear. Not all bamboo varieties have the same quality, but if a suitable variety is used, Ibrahim Salisu says a sizable house can be built in less than 20 days.
And how about you? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
And now to one of the world's key environmental troublemakers, plastic. Every year, around 25 million tons of it ends up in our ocean. That's a truckload every single minute. If our plastic consumption continues to rise at the present rate, we'll be discarding 2 truckloads a single minute within the next 10 years and 4% by 2050.
Why is this happening? One reason is that only a small proportion of plastic waste is recycled. Another is that around half of all plastic goes to products that are used just once and then thrown away. Now some young German activists are cleaning up local rivers and working with scientists to calculate how much plastic ends up in the sea.
An idyllic location on the Ruhr River in western Germany. But take a closer look and it's not as beautiful. Kevin, Noel and their classmates have come to do some fishing, but not the usual kind. It's trash they're fishing for. There's litter everywhere they look. And there's plenty of plastic. And quite a few glass bottles too. The students attend a local high school and are taking part in an initiative called Plastic Pirates. It's a research project where young students get to do the work of real scientists. They take water samples and measure, count and record the pieces of trash they recover from the rivers and riverbanks. Scientists in Kiel use the data to generate a garbage map of German rivers and calculate how much trash ends up in the sea. The teachers are happy to do their part to inspire the budding scientists.
It's something I care about myself. It always bothers me when I see people leaving rubbish behind, especially when they have small children with them and are supposed to be setting an example.
The work of the plastic pirates shows that on average 1 piece of trash can be found for every 2 square meters of riverbank in Germany. France also has a project aimed at tracking down the trash. It's called Plastic Origins and goes a step further, using artificial intelligence and an app.
We want to mobilize as much as volunteers and citizens as we can to go on the rivers, so you can collect data like through kayaking or walking along the riverbanks, and using those data, using like the video footage that they are going to take of the riverbanks, we will be able to analyze those video, detect litter items, and use those data to map river plastic pollution.
The aim of Plastic Origins is to get stricter legislation introduced on plastic waste and regulatory limits for the amount of plastic in European rivers. Their garbage map is intended to identify especially polluted areas.
We know that most of the pollution we find in the ocean is transported by rivers. But right now we don't know which rivers are the most polluted ones.
But the app can't track microplastics. In Germany alone, 4 kilos of microplastics per person per year end up in the environment. The main sources, particles from vehicle tires, industrial waste and household garbage. It's difficult for wastewater treatment plants to filter out the tiny particles. But a Munich startup called Ecofario is showing how it can be done using a simple but effective method. This is how it works. The wastewater is pumped into the filter. A powerful vortex is generated in the pipe, pushing the water containing most of the microplastics to the top. The company says 95% of microplastics from municipalities and industry could be filtered out in this way. The young plastic pirates agree that more needs to be done to combat plastic pollution. After just 2 hours in this idyllic location, they found more trash than they can even carry.
Now we head to South Africa to find out how a tax break helps to promote conservation. The country is famous for its wildlife and vast areas of almost untouched land. An NGO there has come up with a way to encourage people to set up nature reserves on their property.
88% of land in South Africa is not suitable for agriculture. It's too rugged, too dry, and too uneven. But everywhere you look, you see life in abundance. The country boasts rich biodiversity. But how best to preserve it? In South Africa, environmental protection is chronically underfinanced. That's where Candace Stevens comes in. She's a tax specialist at the NGO Wilderness Foundation Africa. She wants to encourage landowners to turn their holdings into nature reserves. The government offers a tax incentive to do so.
Adriel, good to see you.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Let's go inside.
What you're doing here is looking after South Africa's natural wealth in the public good.
Yes.
And so there's this unique tax incentive to benefit that biodiversity.
This man has already converted his land into a protected area. He can write off the cost of the purchase over a 25-year period. Photographer Koos van der Linde purchased the land 5 years ago and has taken countless pictures of the area since then. It rarely rains here, but when it does, the landscape is transformed into a pageant of color. Another special feature about this area of land is that it could act as a corridor for wild animals, since it's located between 2 different protected areas.
We're standing here roundabout on the northern border of it. Here to the west and east or south, stretching down, we've got Namakwa National Park, and then to the northeast, Kugap Provincial Nature Reserve. And here you can see the proposed corridor linking the 2 protected areas.
The Karoo region of South Africa is home to more than 5,000 species of plants, and some 40% of them can only be found here. Once upon a time, This area was farmland.
Due to global warming and the rainfall diminished quite a bit, and it just became impossible for these people to make a living with cattle and agriculture. And eventually they had to sell, and that's why we bought in the farms for conservation.
With climate change threatening biodiversity, Candace Stevens has not found it difficult to persuade other landowners to follow suit. Dozens have signed up to the scheme. Her first experience of implementing the program was in the KwaZulu-Natal province. In order to protect the land, locals introduced a herd of cattle. The animals serve an important function. Keeping the grass short helps prevent wildfires in the dry season. But it's just the start.
We'll slowly introduce game. Starting with the plains game, which will be zebra, springbok, eland, wildebeest, and those type of animals. And then once they are established, slowly the cattle will be removed. The animals will be free to roam on the whole nature reserve.
The tax rebates that Candace Stevens has been promoting have gone some way towards addressing the shortage of funding for environmental protection in South Africa. And in the future, she's hopeful of further progress in this development.
It's an old problem farmers, especially here in Africa, are all too familiar with: predators attacking their livestock. In Botswana, a conservation NGO trains dogs to guard farm animals. They can be very good at it, and that means farmers have less reason to hunt and kill marauding wildlife. So endangered species such as cheetah are also protected. It looks like a win-win situation.
Farmers in western Botswana have to be vigilant. A cheetah could be lurking somewhere in the grass. Every year, farmers like Jeffrey Moyo lose around 2% of their livestock to predators. For small herders who can't afford security fencing, the figure is even higher.
It was a serious problem because I lost around 50 something. Of course. They were killing around 10 one time. Eat only 2. But she doesn't eat a lot, but it can kill 7, eat only 1. Just kill, eat 1.
To protect their livestock, many good herders shoot or poison predators. But now some of them have started keeping dogs with their herds to keep the big cats away. The farmers keep a local mixed breed dog which is well suited to the harsh environment. The livestock guarding dog program is supported by the environmental organization Cheetah Conservation Botswana. At a rural training facility, Connie Modise looks after puppies and raises them to become part of the herd. The dogs then stay with the livestock day and night to protect them against threats.
We placed around 60 dogs so far in this area. We intend to place more dogs and trying to help farmers conserve their livelihoods and enhance, on the other hand, protecting our cheetahs in Botswana.
3 or 4 trained dogs protect a flock. Their presence and barking alone is often enough to keep predators at bay. Initiatives like this are part of a larger strategy to keep livestock from being harmed by wild animals. The conservation organization also conducts research. Michelle Kral is the coordinator. She uses camera traps to learn more about cheetahs and develop solutions for human-wildlife conflict. The greatest numbers of cheetahs can be found in southern parts of Africa. These skilled predators can reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour, making them the fastest land animals in the world. But these days, their natural range is severely reduced. The destruction of their habitat, targeted killings by farmers, and the hunt for their fur has brought them to to the brink of extinction.
Predators such as cheetah, they form the top of the ecosystem. They keep natural prey under control. And natural prey, of course, also keeps the vegetation under control.
Since the guiding dog program was launched in 2015, many farmers have stopped killing cheetahs. For Jeffrey Moyo, the program has been a success. Thanks to his dogs, he hasn't lost a single goat in the last 5 years. Many species in Africa still survive and coexist in unprotected wildlife areas. Ensuring humans and animals can live side by side remains a challenge. Thanks to conservation efforts, researchers estimate that today there are some 7,000 cheetahs living in the wild. And some of them owe their lives to the dogs that watch over the flocks in the Kalahari.
From Botswana to Sandra's home, Uganda, it seems farmers there have set up a seed bank. Can you tell us more about that, Sandra?
Yes, I can, Chris. Seed banks are an important resource for preserving the different strains and for breeding new ones that are better suited to the changed conditions due to climate change. We are going to pay a visit to a project run and staffed by women.
Joy Mugisha is explaining how to catch banana weevils. She's giving a training session to women farmers in western Uganda.
This is the solution of water, salt and water to kill the banana weevils.
Here, she demonstrates another method. Put parts of a dead banana tree stump in front of the tree you're trying to protect, and the weevils will be drawn to that instead.
We usually teach our farmers not to use chemicals because it destroys our soils. You know, the soil has microorganisms. When you spray chemicals, so it kills microorganisms, which is too bad to our environment.
Joy Mugisha has been trained by the organization Alliance Bioversity. The NGO supports food security projects with evidence-based research, especially for crops like bananas and beans. Some traditional bean varieties can no longer grow here. The farmers say it's because of climate change. The NGO has helped them to set up their own cooperative and develop a seed bank, which now has more than 60 varieties of bean in stock.
During the planting season, our farmers have an opportunity to access seed from here. If a farmer, he or she takes 1 kilogram, he has to, after harvesting, he or she has to pay back twice as much.
The National Seed Bank of Uganda provided the initial investment of seeds. Scientists made them available to the NGO. The researchers have given the farmers improved seeds of bean varieties. The crossbreeding to create these new strands can take several years, as scientist Gloria Otino explains.
You will find beans rich in zinc, beans rich in calcium, beans maybe that are rich in selenium. Breeders can access those materials and improve on them in terms of yield or disease management or even nutrition. So those traditional varieties hold a lot of traits and genetic diversity that we need for breeding.
The National Seed Bank estimates that every year Uganda is losing around 10% of its biodiversity in plants that are important for agriculture and nutrition, like beans, peanuts, and wild rice.
So if we lose that variation within each of those crops, then we'll have nothing, because we will not be able to use that materials to engage the challenges that you have in the production systems. A country which does not look after these resources is a country that is in trouble for the future.
Joy Mugisha has, in the meantime, set up her own seed bank. For 4 years, she's been setting aside part of her harvest for seeds. She's employed a number of women to help with the seed selection process. She not only pays them, but also passes on her bean growing knowledge.
They get money from this community, they learn from this community, and go and teach other farmers.
The idea of starting up community seed banks is catching on. A total of 8 cooperatives in Uganda have now joined the initiative.
That's all for now. We hope you found today's stories inspiring. If you're doing something to protect the environment, we'd love to hear about it. You can get in touch with us on our social media channels. I'm Chris Lem signing off from Lagos, Nigeria.
Thank you, Chris. Do join us again for another edition of Eco Africa next week. From me, Sandra Twinobio, here in Kampala, Uganda. It is goodbye and take care.